Hope everybody has seen Sinners by now. Spoiler alert if you haven't. I've watched it twice. First time I just watched it, it was cool. Second time I watched it, I paid more attention to intimate details. Very well written. Ryan Coogler's a beast. But I'm going to talk about two characters in particular. And it might have went over some people's heads if you just casually watched it. Smoke, which was obvious, that's Smoke. Stack, which was obvious, was a pimp. He said it when he was in the closet, locked in when he turned vampire. Y'all want to keep this pimping in the closet. When Delta Slim rolled up on, when he rolled up on Delta Slim at the train station, first thing Delta Slim said was, boy, last time I heard anything about y'all, you, not Smoke, you, Stack, was running women in Arkansas. He had a stable of women. When they left, Smoke and Stack went to Arkansas. They didn't take Annie, who was Smoke's wife. They took Mary. I know before I go into anything that you're going to say, they were raised in the same household by the same woman. I bet they were raised in a whorehouse. We are talking. The name of the movie is Sinners. I bet you Annie's mom was working in a whorehouse or ran the whorehouse. Okay. Which brings me to this. When Annie ran into it's Stack at the train station, she said, you stuck your tongue in my coos, and I thought you loved me. And you effed me so hard, I thought you loved me. Why would she say that? Because if they were a couple, that would have been the normal thing, right? No, because Stack was the pimp. And most hardcore true pimps don't do that. They don't have sex with their women. Most pimps that I have come across, that I got a relative that was a pimp. I've had friends that was pimps. I know some pimps, and most of them, no, they don't have sex with women. Now, yeah, there are pimps who have their bottom biatch, right? The bottom biatch, most of them have bottom biatches. They might mess with her, but they ain't sticking no tongues in coozes. And because it's, remember in the back when my man said he wanted the honey, I wanted the money. Most pimps stick to that rule. Read Iceberg Slim. Read it. He tells it all. Which also, Trick Baby. Read Trick Baby, another book by Iceberg Slim. Light-skinned people like Trick Baby would, go and, run off. If they wanted to, they can assimilate into the white culture and basically look back on, not look back on black people. That's what the average person would do. If you were light skinned, you would move away from that town and just become white, right? That's. But a lot of them who stayed within the black culture back then, if they weren't legitimate business people or stuff like that, there's all levels of society within every race and stuff, but we're talking about Clarksdale, Mississippi. everybody that was black in that town was probably a sharecropper, doing exactly what Cornbread and his wife were doing, picking cotton. That's what it was. But how did they escape? They left the plantations picking cotton and they went to Arkansas. And they took the light-skinned girl, smoking stack, the light-skinned girl who they were raised with in a whorehouse. I'm telling you, that's what it was. Who was raised in a whorehouse. She was getting the money. She was getting out the bag. She was, look, no pimp who is not going to have the one woman just not doing anything. And, you know, if you got a stable of women and you're running, and you say you had 5 women, and then the one of the 5 don't, she's just your personal girl, the other 4 is going to look at you, they're going to turn around and be like, wait a minute, we out here, you know, doing this, all, you know, doing this for you and her? This bitch better get out there and do some work. If you want me to be out here hoeing, she hoe it too. And she was. Because Stack hooked her up with her husband, who was a John. He was a trick. She even said as much, I didn't want to go with that square cracker. Her husband. That's Pimp Talk. She called him a square. That's Pimp Ho Talk. She called her husband a square. Right? I know she was dressed nice and looked like, you know. But yeah, that was a prostitute. And then, to prove it, the night she walks into the juke joint, everybody knew her, right? And they started partying. The vampires show up. They talked about the money they had. What did she do when they left? Cigar went out. What did she do? What she did? She went and got the money. She went to Stack, which was her role that she was used to. She went right back into the role she was used to, and she said to Stack, let me go see how much money they got. Let me see what they got. See what's going on with them. It wasn't because she was white or light-skinned and they could think that she was white. Yeah, you know, white people, go out and talk to white people. No. She was a prostitute. And that was her role within the relationship. Because Stack said, yeah, go ahead, girl. See what he got. Go get the money. That's normal pimping and hoeing shit. Whore and shit. Not hoe, whore. Whores are to be respected. Hoes give it away for free. Whores are getting paid. Just telling you. That's the way it is. There's rules to this shit. Pay attention. And that's why they became vampires. Because ultimately, in the whole movie, those two were the biggest sinners. The pimp and a whore. Basically, you know, they call pimps buzzsuckers anyway, right? What happened? End scene credits. They walk into the bar. That was their persona in 1993, when they in the time lapse, was pimp and hoe. You go out, we're going to get these dudes, get this, and we're going to bite these motherfuckers and eat them now, right? Whereas before it was about the money, right? I'm telling you, pay attention to it. Pimping and hoeing was going on in that movie. It was just well written where you thought that this was just this love story. No. Smoke didn't take Annie with him because he knew what they was getting ready to get into. He left her there. No, baby, you stay there. No, but we're going to take this little white girl. Because, shoot, back then, think about it. Black dudes would pay to sleep with a white woman, what they thought was a white woman, or a red bone, whatever, right? And the white dudes was going to pay because she's pretty and white. Most pimps prefer white prostitutes. An Asian, if they can get one, is even better. But I'm telling you, pay attention when you watch the movie. I'm just saying. Yeah, Pimping at Home was going on in that movie. You just couldn't see it because it was so well written that you thought that this was like they was in love. Nah. The only time they had sex was with that one time. And then he told her, go on with him. Get the fuck on. But I'm telling you, pay attention. Tell me what you think. I want to see. Come on, get in the comments. I want to hear. I want to know what everybody else thought, or if anybody else picked up on that. But if you didn't pick up on it, pay attention the next time you watch. Listen to what they are saying. The words. Delta Slim said you were running girls in Arkansas. One of those girls was with Stack, who happened to be married. No pimp is going to have one woman that's not just doing nothing, just sitting around looking pretty. No. I got 5 girls, 10 girls, whatever. You're all hitting the street. Bring that money. All right, get in the comments. Let's talk about this.